We are live once again after our strike last week. I'm sorry, but we had a we did a game of cricket, and unfortunately, the cricket, the place where I got the cricket from was a little bit upset that I played their video, even though I was physically changed the format of it and sound of it, and put me right in the middle of their live stream. They still gave me a copyright strike, so we were a little bit upset with that, but we are back, and we are now gonna go through. We'll wait a couple of minutes just in case anybody comes along, but the idea of these realistically are to try and get more people involved. We get a few people involved, and a few people give me their predictions, and during the week I write them down, and we sort of go through them and have a look, and we have a look at the Sky Bets history of each team for whichever day and league we're looking at. And we then say, okay, we can see their form over the last 6 games. What are people saying? And then I tend to have a look at the two and think, well, what would I think? And then think, okay, am I anywhere near close to what you, the fans, are actually saying? It's always handy to have one or two a fan from the actual club. So that's why I need a lot more subscribers. If anybody's watching this and think, where do I go to in this live stream? I would say if you can go up, probably. Where are we now? If you go about 2 minutes, if I go 3 minutes in, we should start the first one, which is going to be Cardiff versus Preston. So we're going to look at Cardiff versus Preston, and Cardiff versus Preston is one of those games that neither team want to lose. 21st position versus 17th. However, 18th. Haha. Where I got that one from was a bit wrong. 22nd versus 18th. So 22nd versus 18th. Now, obviously, Portsmouth have gone above Cardiff. Preston have gone down 1. So since the weekend, it's all changed a little bit. 22nd versus 18th. And these two teams are realistically, well, Cardiff are in the crap now, aren't they? They're third from bottom, only 2 points away. Preston. Now you can see how, if Cardiff were to win, and Oxford were, and either QPR or Oxford that play each other, if one of those wins, then obviously, and Cardiff win as well, then Preston would end up in 20th position, and you can see how dangerously close to the drop zone they are, even though they've had a period of playing really, really well. Cardiff, on the other hand, have not really. Well, I think they had a little bit of period at the beginning where they played reasonably well, and you thought, yeah, they can get out of the bottom 6. But then that good game against Norwich seems to have just stole. Everybody thought when it was Cardiff 2, Norwich 1, and they won it in the 90 plus 3rd minute. Everybody thought that Cardiff could actually motor on from there, because they managed to get 43% possession at home to Norwich, and people were actually. I remember people saying Cardiff are really good at home, and they're starting to make the Cardiff Stadium an awful lot more of a bit like the Millwall Stadium. Really, it's a hell of a den to go to. However, it didn't seem to pay off, and we now have them sat in the relegation zone, looking up at Preston. They're playing them at home. Now, the ones that I have got from you all are Cardiff 0, Preston 1, Cardiff 1, Preston 0, and then 2 lots of people have said 0-0. So, on the face of it, where would we go? Because we've got Cardiff City with out of 6, they've won one 6 games ago, 2-1 against Norwich. This is the game that I think most people thought things had turned, but then they lost against away to Luton, and Luton haven't been and still aren't playing that really great as they should be able to with that class of players that they've got. 3-1 defeat at home to Blackburn, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, we were saying they were playing really good at home. 3-1 defeat the next game. Away to Sheffield Wednesday 1-1, and I think they played reasonably well there. QPR 2-0 defeat at home, and you think 2 defeats on the trot at home. Just as we were saying that home was going to be a good place for them to play. And then they played well away at Coventry 2-2. So it's a little bit up and down, but it's not as up as what we thought. 1-2 goals per game, 0 at QPR, 2 at Coventry, 1 at Wednesday, 1 at Blackburn, none at Luton, and going back to Norwich, 2 at 2 there. And you really don't know where this is going. 1s, 2s, with the odds 0. I can't see them scoring many. And if you look at Preston, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. I think Preston, you'd be lucky to get a one goal out of this. And especially if Cardiff start playing a little bit better as they can do, then certainly I can see them making it tough. They tend to let sort of 0, 1, perhaps 2 goals in. I think it's going to be in that range, 0, 1, 2. I'm going to go with Cardiff 0, Preston 0. Unless people really want to think of anything else, I can't really see it being many goals at all. I mean, Preston's draw, lose, draw. The draws have been 1-1, 0-0, 1-1, 1-1. You could see this as being a 1-1, couldn't you? And I'm tempted to make it 1-1. But unless anybody's going to come up with anything else, I just can't see it being anything other than a draw. I think it's just a toss-up, which heads or tails. Is it going to be 0-0 or 1-1? Although nobody's said 1-1, so I'm going to stick with what the pundits have said of 0-0. Hull City versus Watford. Let's go to Hull City versus Watford. Hull City are playing pretty poorly, aren't they? They're now in the relegation zone. So Hull City, it's Watford in 7th, Hull City in 24th. But if you look at Hull City, won 3, drawn 6, and lost 10. They're quite they're winning. They're drawing quite a few games, which when Rotherham was in that particular position, it was nearly every game lost. So they're by no means out of it. And of course, changing manager, they should be doing quite well. They should be able to pull themselves out of this. Watford, on the other hand, 7th position. They 9, 3, and 6. They tend not to draw games. They've only drawn 3 games so far, and 2 of those have been in the last 3 games. So if you go back to the Oxford game, they'd only drawn 1 game up to then, which is pretty good. And I remember looking at them and thinking, it's not going to be a draw. It's going to be a win or a defeat. However, now they seem to be. It's almost like the teams who play against them are good at being able to block that back third, like QPR can 0-0. Plymouth 2-2. Tried to get those 2 goals. Tried to make sure that their back end was as solid as it could be. But kept making mistakes, and you think, they are prone to teams just putting up a brick wall and keeping them into a draw, which is strange because Watford haven't been like that. So Watford have changed slightly. Do we take that into consideration? Well, most of you haven't. I mean, the people who've commented so far, 2-1, 1-2, 2-1, 1-2. Yeah, they're saying 2-1 in either direction, and we don't know which way. Now, we have to look at Hull's last 6. Defeat, 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 defeat. 6 in a row. However, I've been supporting football since like early 80s. And, people, we seem to see teams having a run of bad results. And it tends to be about 6 long. So, from that, I would expect Hull to have come out of this a while ago. Will they? I'm almost certain they'll come out of this. They must be coming out of this, and they have to be able to drive on with the management and push this team forward. I think they will. Watford is one of those teams where they could just blockade that back, as happened in yesterday's games twice with 2 different games. And they could force a draw against this Watford team that have suddenly started drawing games against such a tactic. It's a case of will they? And I think they will. I think they're going to have seen this tactic and think, we can not win it, but we can make sure we draw it. But on the other hand, Watford are very, very good, and they tend to make they tend to do very well against the teams that they're supposed to be doing very well. 6-2 win against Sheffield Wednesday, for instance. However, they do have blips. 2-2 against Plymouth. They would have expected to win that. They certainly would have expected to win the last one, 0-0 against QPR. But as a rule, they play really well, and they started to be able to score really good quantities of goals. And I sort of looked at this, and I looked at what you're saying, 2-1, 1-2, and if I go with it's going to be 2-1, I can't be going with 2-1 to Hull City. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I can't see them doing it. And there's people out there thinking, well, I think it's going to be Hull City 1, Watford 2. If we start saying what people are saying, 2-1 either direction, I'm going to go with Watford because I think Watford have the momentum at the minute, and I think Watford will be the ones to try and knock off their perch, if you like. So let's, if anybody is in, just say hi, say who you support. We're on QPR versus Oxford. So QPR versus Oxford. Millwall versus Sheffield as well, haven't we? So we've done the Cardiff, we've done the Hull City. So well, let's go to Millwall versus Sheffield United because it's a little bit different on the app than it is everywhere else. Millwall very good at home. Having said that, they lost 1-0 to Coventry, didn't they? But they did play well, and they should have won that. They will be really disappointed they lost 1-0 to Coventry at home. Will they lose 2 at home after being so bloody good? Sheffield United are, however, in second place. Millwall in 13th. Won 6, drawn 7, lost 5. They're slightly on the top edge of the draw table when you look at the top half of the table. But there's not many that are really badly into draws other than West Brom. Millwall are the other side, 13th. Sheffield United is second. I'm just looking at the Sheffield United win, draw against Coventry, win, draw against West Brom. And West Brom got 2 goals. Now, Sheffield United are usually really good in defence and usually win by about 1 or 2 goals. And they drew 2-2. West Brom almost never score 2. They do, absolutely, but not very often. Usually it's a very low shot game. So to 2-2 shows to me that Sheffield United are just in a little bit of a blip at the minute. They are you can indeed get them and beat them. I mean, now second place, and you think, yeah, could they become third? Could Burnley actually leapfrog them? Yes, they could. They are in a bit of a blip. Millwall, though, No wins in 4. Could this be no wins in 5? Yeah, I think Sheffield United are actually a really good side. And I think they'll want to bounce back from that 2-2 draw away at West Brom. The Hawthorns are certainly a difficult place to play, aren't they? So Millwall, Sheffield United. What are you saying? 1-2, 0-1, 1-1, 0-2. Most of you going for a Sheffield United win by 1 or 2 goals. A few thinking that Millwall could start to pull back that the den feeling and going into the Lions' Den and might pull a draw. I think a draw is certainly possible, but I think it's going to be a Millwall 1, Sheffield United 2, unless people are going to say anything different. We go QPR versus we will go QPR versus Oxford next. QPR Oxford. What do we got for QPR Oxford? Let's have a look at their positions. We've got QPR in 20th, Oxford in 19th, and the difference here, if you look at this, there's no points difference. QPR 3 wins, 9 draws, and 7 defeats. Oxford 4 wins, 6 draws, and 8 defeats. Oxford tend to they've pulled a few of these games into draws, but they've also lost a couple of draws by trying to get that winner, and they've also won a couple of draws by trying to get that winner. So they've split it slightly either side, almost a little bit like Watford were at the beginning. So let's not draw it. Let's try and go either way. QPR's idea of if we get in the lead. Occasionally, I've seen them do this box blocking tactic with 8-9 players in the box, just to make it as difficult for the opposition to get an equaliser or a winner, and it's worked. And I think it's going to be one of those games where either QPR does this tactic and it works, or they sort of do this trying to get a goal and then just sitting on it and we're going to try and win this. If it works, then great. But I think it's started to work a little bit. Defeat, draw against Stoke, win against Cardiff, draw against Watford, win against Norwich City, and that win against Norwich City 3-0. They played really well. I thought Norwich did play very good, and I thought that Norwich probably deserved certainly not 0 goals, but QPR played well, and they got their 3 goals, 3-0. On the other hand, Oxford lose, win against Hull, lose, and then a draw against Millwall at home, and Millwall aren't as good at away from home. This is going to be a really tough game. The sorts of goals that they're scoring, QPR 1-0, 1-2, 0, 3. It's all over the place. You can't guess how many goals they're going to score from one game to another. Oxford 1-1, 0, 2, 0, 1. Again, you really can't see where this is going. I can't see where this is going at all. And I think the ones that I've seen on the internet, the ones that people have commented to me in different comments of different videos, have been 2-0 to QPR, 2-0 to QPR, 3-1 to QPR. I've seen a 2-2, and I'm tempted with a Desmond Tutu. I just think that Oxford, if they can get that oomph back that they had at the beginning of the season, and they were playing really well. I thought Oxford were actually playing really good football. It's sort of like they were similar to Portsmouth. Portsmouth, those first 2 games, they were playing two of the teams that they were playing Leeds first, didn't they? And then they played another team that came down from League. It was Luton, wasn't it? Leeds and Luton. And really, those 2 draws, were against 2 teams that they would have expected to struggle against. And And it was the same with Oxford. You know, they were getting draws and wins against sides that they should not have any hope at all against. So yeah, I'm quite interested in this because I think that we have to look at the game results over the last 6, and let's have a look at their form. And oh dear, bit of an itch nose. It's really difficult. But you're 2-0, 2-0, 3-1, 2-2. QPR lose, draw, win. You know, they've certainly got a little bit of impetus, and those 2 wins were away and at home. So yeah, really have been doing quite well. Last game 3-0 at home. Again, they're at home. They should be able to take that momentum on, and I would be thinking that they would take this momentum on against a side that Oxford that are lose, win, lose, draw. They may be wanting to make a statement, Oxford, and I think Oxford could get a draw from this, and if it is, it's going to be a Desmond Tutu. But I'm going to go with them not quite being able to do that, and I'll probably go with most of you and say QPR 2, Oxford 0. Let's go for it. Let's go for the last game tonight. West Brom versus Coventry. The Drawthorns. Let's have a look at the Drawthorns, shall we? They're not called the Drawthorns for nothing. We have a table. West Brom in 8th on 29 points and Coventry in 15th on 21 points. Coventry have really started to get a style since losing Robbins. And it's not just a style of playing good championship football and perhaps getting the run of the green now and again. Now they're actually playing some stylish football. It's a different style of football. I actually think this is a good management change now. I didn't see why they got rid of a manager that's just taking you up from League Two to almost getting promotion to the Premier League. But actually seeing the style of football from the same players, I'm like Matt SB for the vlogger from Coventry. I think actually it's been a remarkable change, and whether it's actually fully hit home yet, it may get more out of them in near future. So I'm thinking that Coventry certainly can go to West Brom and get something from this. But we have to be looking at the history. We have to look at the number of goals scored. Every one of the last 6 games for Coventry have had 1s and 2s or 0s in it. 2-1 defeat to Derby, 2-2 Sunderland, 2-2 Sheffield United, 2-0 defeat to Burnley, 2-2 to Cardiff, and then 1-0 win to Millwall. All of those games have, apart from the last game, 1-0 to Millwall. The other 5 have either 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4 goals in them. The chances of this having 1 goal in it is pretty minimal because the draws at that West Brom have been getting, they only nil. There's 0-0 at Burnley, 1-2 win, 2-2 draw, 0-0 draw, 1-1 draw, 2-2 draw. They can score, and it's not always 0-0, but they don't usually shoot on target very many. But the ones that are shot tend to be damn good crackers. And I'm sort of struck between several of you that say it's going to be a draw. Somebody says it's going to be a West Brom win. I can't see that. I think Coventry have changed enough now to be able to get something from it. A win? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a draw. I think that they've got enough to get a draw. I don't think they'll get. They could get a win, but I just don't see it. if it is a win, it's going to be like 2-1, but to Coventry. But what are you saying? 1-1, 2-2, 1-1, 1-0. You know, not. I don't think it's going to have 4 goals in it. West Brom had 4 goals in the last one, and 4 games ago, 2-2 to Norwich. 2 games in a row, can't really see it. And I suppose if it is going to be 2-2, it would need a side at that end of the table as Coventry to be able to get a 2-2. So I suppose realistically we can't really rule it out, can we? So a draw of 1-1 or 2-2 is probably where most people will be thinking. But then you're thinking that West Brom are now starting to hit the net an awful lot more. You know, ones and zeros and ones, and now twos and ones and twos, and we're starting to get more and more. Will that happen? No, I just think it's going to be a draw, and I think it's either 1-1 or 2-2, and I'm just talking myself into a circle, aren't I? I think there might be someone in the chat. If you are, then what do you think? Because this to me is quite a difficult one to do. I think it'll be a draw. I'm gonna go. I tell you what, I'm gonna just go for it. Shall we go for it? We will. We'll go with West Brom 1, Coventry 1. So before we go into our summary, please do like and subscribe. Do need your likes. Do you need your subscriptions even? We are back now, live after my infringement and my copyright strike. So that's why I decided to do this like this. Try and get some people involved and coming on live. We did have one, and he disappeared soon after. But if you want to come along, please do come along. They'll be doing plenty of these now. I think this is the way forward for the Championship ones. League One tends to just go on the videos by their hundreds and pop off. Championship supporters seem not to like that. They seem to prefer a nice open live stream. So that's what we'll do, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And ignore my cough, because it came from when I had meningitis when I was 40, and I've got one and a half lungs. So I do apologise. It annoys me as well. So let's go down our review. Cardiff versus Preston. Cardiff 0, Preston 0, with most of you saying 0-0, but 1-0 either way. Hull City Watford. Hull City 1, Watford 2. Again, it's 2-1 either way, split evenly from you lot. Millwall Sheffield United. Most people saying Sheffield United, with the odd draw thrown in there. So we've gone Millwall 1, Sheffield United 2. QPR Oxford, both needing a win here to get out of that bottom zone. Who's going to do it? Well, QPR are more used to doing this. They have done this before. They have suddenly burst off the bottom and gone way up the table. They have now burst off the bottom, and they are now starting to climb. I think they will just continue, whereas Oxford are going in the opposite direction. So we've gone with, again, most of you saying QPR win. QPR 2, Oxford 0. There are splattering of draws in there, but usually high 2-2s are the main one. Where West Brom versus Coventry and the Drawthorns, and most people saying a draw, but perhaps a West Brom win. I actually think that it could be, if it's going to be a win, it could be a Coventry win. So I'm actually sort of against most people in the chat, and but I'm going to go with the people in the chat, and I've gone for West Brom 1, Coventry 1. So that's my live. How many minutes do we have? 29 minutes. So it's actually shorter than my video. So, hey, if you like it, please do comment on whether you like the format. I'll try again, and we'll carry on with it. But until then, it's John S.'s Sports Channel. Over and out. Please do like and subscribe. See you again in the next video.